the first official start of the hurricane season 2016. Right now, things fortunately are looking okay in the tropics. To the west, the system's going to start bringing in showers beginning tomorrow. It's about a 40% chance, starting off from mid-70s in the morning into the upper 80s before the rain tomorrow. More clouds, too. Scattered activity becoming more likely. Friday with a chance at 60%, middle 80s. Middle 80s, 70% for round of two. Could be strong storms, too, on Saturday. The June 4th and 5th gun show in Mobile. Buy, sell, trade, rifles, shotguns, knives, edged weapons, modern and antique weapons, gun parts, and military memorabilia. Large aisles, food concession, 24-hour security at the June 4th and 5th gun show in Mobile. At the Abba Shrine Center, 7701 Hit Road, Mobile. Admission $6 for adults. Kids 14 under get in free. Get more info at 615-429-2690. 615-429-2690. Ralph Sanji, WGSO.
The last president of the United States of America.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Battle of New Orleans Radio. I am Nathan Lawrence, and along with my hosts Goyam and Caleb Hitt on Skype. How y'all doing tonight, fellas?
Pretty good, pretty good.
How you doing over there, Caleb?
Oh, I'm just shaking my head a little bit at all the crazy crap that's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they had a shooting at UCLA. I almost forgot about that. I was too busy working.
Yeah, too busy trying to collect them shekels. You know,
exactly.
Well, that's good, Caleb. Maybe you can go into some of that. But first, before we dive into anything, I want to talk about these monuments here in New Orleans. You know, we know there's a push to take them down. This isn't the only city. Everywhere where there is Civil War-based monuments, there was a plan to take them down. It's not just here with, you know, this sellout Mitch Landrieu, who's definitely taking orders from people a lot higher up the food chain, we'll say. So, you know, Goyam and I are fed up. You know, we're sick of it. Because, okay, look, the P.T. Beauregard statue, they wrote Soros on it, right?
Yeah, kind of funny.
Yeah, it was kind of ironic. Well, the other day I'm driving by it, and Soros is covered up. But what do we have across town at the Lee statue? We have Take 'em Down Now.
Take them down now.
That's
red,
right.
Big old spray paint, red spray paint.
Yeah, we can't have Soros up there, but we could have Take 'em Down Now. So, you know, it's time. You know, we need to stand up and take back, you know, our city, take back our culture, and we need to go clean them up. So Goyam and I have devised a plan to try to get, you know, our listeners involved. Let's get off of the couch. Let's do this together. Let's work as a community. Let's organize as a community, because the people on the other side are very well organized.
Very well organized.
Very well. You know, they got millions of dollars behind them. You know, we don't have millions of dollars. I got lint in my pocket.
Exactly.
You know, that's about all we have. So we need to come together and clean these monuments. And look, after we got a guest coming on at 7:30. After our guest leaves, I want to take calls on this subject, and we plan on doing this June 12th. And tell us what time, Goyam. Go ahead.
8 p.m. Central Time, June 12th, a Sunday night. It's early enough for you to get back into bed if you got a job the next day, and late enough for you to, sun will be down, and we're going to go out there and clean these monuments ourselves. We're not going to wait around for someone else to dictate what's going to happen, or wait for Mitch Landrieu to make the right decision, or we're going to take things into our own hands in a respectful way, just like they're doing, but in a respectful way to protect our monuments. We're going to put ourselves on the line, whether we get arrested or not, whether the powers that be are listening to us or not. We call on you listeners. We've called up Jeff Carrera's show. We're going to continue to promote this online. We need we're safety in numbers. We need everybody to come out. Even if you don't even plan to put your hand to cloth or with paint thinner, we're going to bring the solutions to clean this up. and we're going to get to the bottom of this. We want to preserve these monuments, and we're willing to put ourselves on the line for that.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, it doesn't even matter at this point. It doesn't even matter what these statues even mean. I mean, look, it's part of our city. It's part of our history. I mean, you look at the Andrew Jackson statue. I mean, Andrew Jackson helped fight tyranny. He saved us from the British. So, I mean,
and they're laughing at us when they can just boldly go and spray paint and graffiti over these monuments, and MoveOn.org and all these terrorist organizations that are pushing around the country. Like Nathan said, Southern Poverty Law Center, go look at their narrative on their Facebook page. Go look at what the Trilateral Commission is doing to eradicate this. Or you can't go on Amazon.com and get anything with any Confederate history anymore. You can't purchase that ever since the Dylan Roof shooting. And the interesting thing is, Nathan, on that was about 2 days after the NBA Finals. Okay, we're about to go into the NBA Finals. I always talk about it on the show. When the sports distraction's away, what false flag are they going to display? And so I'm warning the listeners, just like I tell Nathan all the time, we got 7 games or whatever, Cleveland and Golden State. I'll watch it like every other lemming. But when it's over, pay attention, because about 2 or 3 days later, I guarantee you there's going to be a false flag. But like Caleb was saying, our reporter for the Daily Resistance based in Ohio, I know I saw on the news today they had a shooting at UCLA, and it looked like Tiananmen Square. They have these guys dressed up like military SWAT personnel, and they're socially engineering our brains to get used to this. And so, Caleb, is that what you were going to bring up? I know you said there was a lot going on in the news today. That was something I saw. Of course, more shootings, more, chaos and civil unrest and mass shootings that are going to lead to more of our rights being taken away. So did you see that about the shooting in UCLA today? I think 2 students were shot dead.
I heard that there was a shooting there. I didn't get a chance to actually check into it more as far as that goes, but it's just obviously the latest shooting. It's almost, you hate to call these shootings, it's almost like you hate to call it the new normal, but it's almost like you have another shooting every month or just basically, or sometimes every other week.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you got a situation right now in New Orleans where the crime's out of control. This summer, I can't even keep up with the numbers, but everyone is being called for this United Nations Small Arms Gun Ban Treaty. And the lemmings are going to sign on for it and be all for it when this stuff starts affecting their businesses, starts affecting their homes. They're sitting at a restaurant, someone comes in there. I think they had a gas station in New Orleans, Caleb, that was robbed, and I think 30 minutes later, the robber realized no cop showed up, and he came back and robbed him again. So I mean, it's become so brazen. We've uncovered, and Nathan can vouch for this. We've uncovered that New Orleans has the money for more cops, has the money, and Mitch has looked the other way on that. He doesn't want more. He doesn't want more cops on the street. He wants it. Go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. The chief of police come out and said that he doesn't understand. The budget. Mayor Landry was pushing to raise the taxes here in New Orleans so they can hire more police. But then the chief of police came out and contradicted that statement and said, "Man, we have the money."
That works. There'll be no cops to stop us when we clean up our own monuments. These monuments are ours. We're going to be there June 12th, and whoever's listening, good or bad. If you're good, you want to come help us resist this tyranny, come on out.
That's right.
And if it's just me and Nathan, so be it. That's the way it's going to roll with us, and that's what we need of our listeners to, instead of being like, well, it's starting to get bad in America. Well, I hope somebody wakes up. Like you boil a frog 1 degree at a time. Yep. And again, you got to watch out for the false flag coming after the NBA Finals. There's not going to be any football to distract you guys with, and you got to be forewarned when you see these false flags start coming down the pipe. What are they pushing for and whatnot? But Nathan, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a quick statement.
Amnesty International, you were talking about in the break,
and then I'm gonna turn it back over to Caleb. I was driving last week to the studio. It was during the day. I was driving downtown, and there's a mural for Albert Woodfox. He, I believe I'm saying his name correctly. He was part of these 3 that have been incarcerated in Angola for like 40 plus years. Some say he's innocent, some say he's not. But anyway, there's this push to get them released, and they may have been released by now. I don't know. But on this mural, if you look at the bottom right corner, it says painted for Amnesty International. Amnesty International is a CIA non-governmental organization. It's a CIA front group. You know what I'm saying? The CIA uses them. So point being is that that's just another prime, blatant example how even in old New Orleans that we have global interests that have dove into our communities to just help keep the pot stirred up and everything, just going. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that may not sound like much. Oh, it's just a mural, but that's just little things that just help just keep it.
Shows you how organized they are, like you said, Nathan. I mean,
Yeah, I've drove by the thing 100 times and I've never noticed a little Amnesty International symbol until last week. I just thought it was pretty amazing. It just helps reiterate what we've been saying. There's global forces at play here in New Orleans, whether it's the United Nations,
Sanctuary City,
George
pushing
Soros.
for the gun ban, pushing for the gun legislation. But first, you must have crime get so out of control for them to take your guns. Yeah. And that's the key.
What's your take on that, Caleb?
Well, I think it's just I don't know, it's just crazy.
Are you seeing this effect in Ohio yet, Caleb?
What, as far as like the guns and as far as
Maybe like Cincinnati and Cleveland. Are you starting to see this kind of? I mean, New Orleans and St. Louis, Detroit, good examples. Clearly, Chicago, great example. It looks like downtown Baghdad in those cities. But I mean, are you starting to see these in this, say that old Rust Belt, your area? The homeland, the Midwest, and Cincinnati and Cleveland. I know they have their bad neighborhoods, but are you starting to hear about this out of control crime? And if so, it would make sense to me because, it seems like every big city, every big hub is now becoming a war zone on purpose. That way they can basically in the urban communities take your weaponry away,
I haven't really been hearing a lot about as far as Cleveland. I'm about 3 hours from Cleveland. I'm about 4 hours away from Cincinnati. I don't really keep a whole lot of track of what's going on there, except for obviously with the GOP convention going on in Cleveland next month, of course.
I got you. Well, watch out for Johnny Manziel, man. He might be packing. You never know. He's.
I don't think anybody's gonna want him.
But yeah, Nathan, what were you saying about Obama proclaims June LGBT month or something like that?
Obama proclaims June LGBT Pride Month. We recognize they have done to bring us to this point. It's just slapping us in the face. Like I said, this is just more at the end of this, just
depopulate.
Anti-human. Everything's anti-human, anti-family.
Don't reproduce.
Exactly.
Break the families up.
If everybody's
get stuck in the debt matrix.
I mean, there must be transgender and Iranians behind every leaf because
it's all the Iranians.
It's all. I wonder if there's transgender Iranians out there under every leaf.
And the crazy thing is, I talk to people on Facebook all the time. They're like, "Well, we got to nuke them to the sky." Right now is the worst. I've never seen ISIS so bad. ISIS, what?
ISIS is the opposite of Iran.
I don't know. It's like I asked them a question. I'm like, "Has ISIS ever attacked Israel?" We got to protect Israel no matter what. That's our greatest ally. Well, why don't they attack them? They're right next to them. I don't know why they don't. They're just our enemy. It is what it is. But look, Battle New Orleans Radio, we're going to a hard commercial break. We'll be right back.
Enjoy fresh fruit grown in your yard. JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com delivers and installs fruit trees and fruiting vines to your home or condo. Proudly serving Kenner, Metairie, and New Orleans. Apples, apricots, blackberries, citrus, figs, grapes, peaches, pears, persimmons, plums, and raspberries. All the trees and fruiting vines are grown right here in South Louisiana. Check out the Fruit Tree Guide for more information and visit JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com today. It's a great time to plant. JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com.
Whether you're in the real estate market to buy, sell, lease, or looking for someone just to manage your properties, look no further than Paula Bourne with Plantation Properties. She has 34 years experience and is an expert of all of the latest programs available to homeowners. She has been my trusted realtor for years now. So please call Paula Bourne with Plantation Properties at 504-858-9293. That's 504-858-9293. Does your house have a clogged up toilet, faulty electrical wires, or AC or heater just isn't blowing properly? Well, call Herman with Superior AC, Electrical, and Plumbing at 985-781-0418. Also specializes in new construction and covers the whole New Orleans metro area. So please, call our friend Herman with Superior AC, Electrical, and Plumbing at 985-781-0418. That's 985-781-0418.
As the corporate media dies, MetroNow.com and TheDailyResistance.com continue to give you a decentralized and independent take on the latest current events as well as historical reference to help you wade through the propaganda of the prostitute media. Our mission is to inform the people of New Orleans about the issues of freedom, health, world events, and much more so that we as a community can thrive in the 21st century. Only with an informed public will we truly be free and independent. So take a look at MetroNow.com or TheDailyResistance.com as your independent news source.
Here on the Battle of New Orleans Radio, we understand some of our listeners may not have teeth. But guess what? For the listeners that do have teeth, you need to go visit our friend, Dr. Sammy Tom with Uptown Dental. He's located at 8131 St. Charles Avenue in New Orleans, Louisiana, and you can visit him on the web at uptowndentalnola.com, or please call him up to set up your appointment at 504-304-6800. That's 504-304-6800. uptowndentalnola.com. Ooh-wee! Hey, David, that smell good. What you eating on?
Man, I'm eating on some shrimp I got from J&N Big Easy Seafood.
Man, I had to get me some of that.
Yeah, bro, they specialize in the delivery, catering of 20 pounds or more boiled or live shrimp, crawfish, catfish, crabs, frog legs, and much more.
And how do I get in touch with J&N's Big Easy Seafood?
Just call them up. Call 985-640-8822. That's 985-640-8822.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. You're listening to Battle of New Orleans Radio right here at 990 AM WGSO in the heart of the Crescent City. We have a guest who's supposed to be coming on next segment, Mr. Leo Zagami.
And he's based in Italy, so keep in mind he's 7 hours ahead trying to do this interview for us.
Yeah, he's come on the show before. He's a Vatican insider. He's written a book called The Last Pope, where, I mean, he was talking about, I believe, upwards of 10 years ago, how they were going to put a Jesuit pope in power, and it was going to be basically the last pope. So, I mean, the book is excellent. I have a copy at my house. So, I suggest everybody get you a copy. And he's written some other great books as well. So we're trying to get in touch with him. He said he was going to come on, but, with the time difference, it might become an issue. But
interesting, because, he's discussing how it seems that the Pope has been co-opted so much so with this open border society, the again, all the cultural Marxism, LGBT movement, global warming,
Agenda 21, Agenda 2030.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it seems like he's just time and time again. And so many Catholics I talk to, just blindly go along with it. They don't think for themselves. And politically, when you talk to them, you would think they'd resist some of these New World Order agendas, but when it comes to that's our Pope, we got to support him no matter what. Never thinking for themselves.
Well, I'm not one of those people. I don't support him. And we were talking about this off air. Before we got in the studio, so many people will ask me, well, if you're awake, how can you say you're a Catholic? And look, just because, I am Catholic and I do go to Catholic church doesn't mean that I support every move by the Vatican. I don't support Vatican II. There's many people. There are certain sects inside the church that are resisting and that actual have mass that predate Vatican II and they have traditional masses. So I mean, look, I think we have to take back all of these institutions, or at least try to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's probably been co-opted so much so, but yeah, like you said, on the local level, you might have certain priests that they might not outwardly say it because it could affect their career or whatever. But I mean, inwardly, they're probably thinking to themselves, something's not right with the current leadership in the Vatican,
Yeah, I mean, I've had conversations with the priest, and they didn't go along with it. Like, look, I'm a hunter. I'm pro-gun. There's no way. He said, kind of what you said. He said, I don't support, the same agenda that this Pope, and this was a priest that was telling me this, so that, look, there are resistors out there. We need to try to take back, these institutions. We can't just give up, because they're going to use these institutions on a global scale to try to steer everybody.
Yeah. One other side story. I know Nathan wanted to talk about the Zika virus, and we did an interview with Francis Boyle about 2 months ago, pre-recorded interview with him, and he was basically discussing the Zika virus. I saw on the news today, Pau Gasol, famous NBA player. He plays for the Bulls now, but he won a couple rings with the Lakers. He doesn't want to go to the Olympics down there in Brazil due to the in Rio de Janeiro this summer due to the threat of Zika, and he's not sure what it is. And you're starting to see all this talk about it. Now, what do you think, Nathan and Caleb? Do you guys think that they're going to push for some kind of vaccination for this, for the population? Or what's your take on the Zika virus as it's starting to unfold now?
It's multifaceted. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to turn it over to Caleb. It's multifaceted, and my grandfather, John, would love to hear this. I kind of believe that, look, there is this Zika virus, which is, it's owned by the Rockefeller Foundation. The patent goes back to, I believe, 1947 or 1949. So they own the patent for the Zika virus. But I do believe Brazil is part of the BRICS nations that are trying to, form their own, banking systems. So Brazil is part of this. That's what so if Brazil is part of this, and you see this now, with the Olympics, there's this push, and it'll probably, decimate them financially, because they'll do the same thing they did to Russia. They tried to demonize Russia when the Olympics were there in Sochi. They said, the hotels were a mess. They just did everything in their power to make Russia look like it didn't have their crap together.
It's funny because I was listening to Leo Zagami's interview on Alex Jones, and it kind of reminds me of what you just said. Everyone thinks the Vatican, the Roman Catholic Church, they're full of, it's very wealthy and stuff like that. Truth be told, according to Leo, Rome's falling apart. And I'm interested to hear what he has to say about that. And he's got a really good interview with Alex Jones if anybody wants to check that out later on.
What's your take on that, what we're talking about, Caleb, about the Zika virus in Brazil?
Well, I know Francis Boyle, obviously, he's basically saying that it's a weaponized virus. And I think I've also heard there may be other elements involved as well, as far as like chemicals, possibly even Monsanto involved with the food crops growing down there as well.
With the glyphosate.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, look, they've brought these same genetically engineered mosquitoes that they released in Brazil in the same areas where the Zika virus is now flourishing. The same company, Oxitec, brought these same mosquitoes to Florida, and they've released them. If they just admitted that they're doing this now, they've probably been releasing them since 2012 or before that. And look, these mosquitoes travel. If they were releasing in Brazil in 2012, I'm pretty sure at some point they traveled their way up here, within, the past 4 years. So I do believe there is some real concern with this, and like Boyle pointed out, it is very race specific. It definitely attacks black people,
African Americans, yeah. And there was a case in New Jersey today, actually, African American in New Jersey, with a child with basically a preformed head, a smaller head,
All right, we're going to break, ladies and gentlemen. You listen to Battle of New Orleans radio right here, 990 AM WGSO in the heart of the Crescent City. We'll be right back. Does your house have a clogged up toilet, faulty electrical wires, or AC or heater just isn't blowing properly? Well, call Herman with Superior AC, Electrical, and Plumbing at 985-781-0418. Also specializes in new construction and covers the whole New Orleans metro area. So please, call our friend Herman with Superior AC, Electrical, and Plumbing at 985-781-0418. That's 985-781-0418.
The Bible affirms that people of faith like the early pilgrims are a moral beacon for our nation. Political leaders dismantle the Constitution, deny our God-given rights while implementing their new world order. The modern pulpit is silenced and people of faith are unaware of the tactics used to undermine the biblical foundation of America. For solutions to win our country back, shining a light exposing their globalist tactics while revealing the best pilgrim solutions. Visit pilgrimsbeacon.com. That's pilgrimsbeacon.com.
What are you doing to stop traffic when your business is ready to wow the pants off customers? Visit Sir Speedy. We produce quality signs, posters, banners, and more that are just the trick for trade shows, promotions, events, and product launches. Whether you're taking it to the street, the floor, or the counter, bigger is always better. For more information or to get a quote, go to SirSpeedyNewOrleans.com.
It's Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics. I'd like to introduce WGSO General Manager Richard Tate.
WGSO is locally owned and operated right here in New Orleans. We believe in cultivating local talent and emphasize local programs. If you have an interest in hosting your own program, we have some prime spots available.
Thanks, Richard. Folks, take advantage of this great offer. Email me at jeff@wgso.com or call me at 504-669-6076. Come fulfill your radio dreams at WGSO.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Halen Doty. Today, Louisianans can start enrolling in the newly expanded Medicaid program. Governor John Bel Edwards says the expansion will provide coverage for an estimated 375,000 Louisiana workers, and it will save money by bringing more federal dollars back to the state and reducing state spending.
And in the process of enrolling these people, the state of Louisiana in the first year alone will save $184 million.
More information can be found at healthy.la.gov. A bill has been signed into law that bans a common second trimester abortion procedure. Pro-choice advocates say a dilation and evacuation abortion is the most common and safest second trimester abortion procedure. But Louisiana Right to Life Legislative Director Deanna Wallace disagrees.
This procedure is the most common procedure, not because it's safer than other procedures, but because it costs less and it's more convenient.
Louisiana is the sixth state to outlaw this practice. Louisiana Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Rose Hudson, president of the Louisiana Lottery. For 25 years, Louisiana has been counting on the lottery, counting on us to raise funds for K-12 education, counting on us to offer exciting games with the highest degree of integrity. The Louisiana Lottery is proud of our long history delivering on this mission. So visit our website and social media sites for ways to join in our year-long birthday party. We're bringing you more reasons to smile. You can count on it.
Following an active spring storm season, now hurricane season is here. This is Insurance Commissioner Jim Donlin, reminding you that no matter where you live in Louisiana, you face the threat of property damage from severe weather. Avoid surprises by knowing the amount of your hurricane or named storm deductible, which can be found on the declarations page of your policy. Don't wait until severe weather strikes. Contact your agent today for guidance or call us at the Department of Insurance, 1-800-259-53.
This is Jeff Crouere with my commentary of the day. So elitist Bill Kristol, a Republican neocon snob who doesn't like Donald Trump and the fact that millions of people supported him, is recruiting an independent candidate to run for president. The whole purpose of this will be to destroy Donald Trump's chances at the White House. Bill Kristol won't mind one bit if Hillary Clinton is elected. To the establishment, Hillary Clinton is fine. It's Donald Trump that's the problem. He opposes free trade. He wants to bring back manufacturing. He wants to close the open border with Mexico. He wants to crack down on illegal immigration. So the big business cronies supporting people like Bill Kristol will be hurt if Trump follows through on his pro-America plans. Let's hope voters see through this scheme. We're on the verge of making America great again. Let's not lose this opportunity. Hopefully voters will realize this, quote, independent candidate is just another big government rhino who won't change a thing. More info on this and the other hot topics of the day, check out ringsidepolitics.com.
This is Michael Savage. Give me 15 minutes and I'll give you America. I'm not only delighted, but I'm excited to be back on radio in New Orleans, the city I love most, right here on 990 AM WGSO. I love the Antiques District. You, the listener, demanded it, and your demands have now been met. Michael Savage and the Savage Nation return not only to New Orleans, but back on WGSO, 990 AM. Tune in weeknights from 9 p.m. to midnight for the Michael Savage Show on the Savage Nation.
Savage.
Jigger's Bar and Grill at 1645 Vets near Bonneville has plenty of convenient parking and is a great place for lunch. Sandwiches, burgers, wraps, salads, quesadillas, all delicious. There's a big screen TV to watch the sporting events, and happy hour lasts from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Great dinner specials under $11, and if you have late night munchies, Jigger's is a place to go. You can dine in or order at 828-3555. See you soon at Jigger's.
Representative Hodges, I'm not really sure what your intent is, but one thing that I do know is all men are not created equal. When I think back in 1776, July the 4th, African Americans were slaves. And for you bring a bill to request that our children will recite the Declaration, I think it's a little bit unfair to us to ask those children to recite something that's not the truth.
You don't think that all men are created equal? You're saying that's not true?
And for you to ask our children to repeat the Declaration stating that our men are free, I think that's unfair. In 1776, Dr. King was not even born. He was not even, African Americans were in slavery. So since they were in slavery, in the Declaration of Independence say, we were all treated, we were all created equal. We were not created equal because in 1776, July the 4th, I nor you, nor any of us were born, nor was Dr. King born. So we were in slavery, and to have our children to repeat again and again documents that was not even validated, I don't think that that's fair because we're teaching them a lie.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a video from Representative Barbara Norton from Louisiana dissing the Declaration of Independence. So you can find that on YouTube at Representative Barbara Norton disses Declaration of Independence. So go watch that. Go listen to what she's actually saying. Without further ado, look, let's bring on our guest, though. We finally have our guest on, Mr. Leo Zagami. He is an author, researcher. He has written a great book titled The Last Pope. And it's, discussing Pope Francis, being a Jesuit pope, and being the last pope. If you just look at everything he is pushing, it's disgusting. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, Pope Francis likens Jesus to ISIS, and then he says Muslims must breed with Europeans. I mean, this is it just frustrates me. When I get this, I get angry. Anyway, how you doing, Leo? I know it's real early in Italy, but we really appreciate you taking your time out of your early morning to coming on the air with us. We appreciate it.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me on again on WGSO, and it's a pleasure. And I hope that we will clarify a lot of points for your listeners today. And also, I am introducing you my new book. Last time I was talking about Pope Francis, the Last Pope, and also Confessions 1. Now I've released Confessions 2, which is an ulterior step into clarifying certain mysteries and secrets within the Illuminati network and also within the Vatican secret network.
Mr. Zagami, this is Goyam here. I just had a quick question. I saw your interview with Alex Jones, and you kind of put a name to what seems to be this relocation process of the Muslims into Europe. I think it started with a C, maybe. Can you clarify that to me? I forgot the name of what exactly it was, but I just found your interview really interesting. You were bringing up Medjugorje. I've actually been to Medjugorje. My father's from Croatia, and I've actually been to that town. I think it was, and you might clarify for our listeners, how the people who saw the visions in Medjugorje have now been banished from any Vatican doings, because I guess they're kind of, ostracized and whatnot. And just kind of explain that. And also, if you know the name of the relocation process in the eyes of the Illuminati and the New World Order of this new Vatican, and what it is exactly that's going on with this open border society that you see in Europe, and the relocation of what seems to be millions upon millions. It seems now they're saying, I think 5 to 7 million Muslims are planned to be relocated next year into Europe.
Yes, I wrote about it in Pope Francis, the last Pope, really more than a year ago, and I think I was kind of prophetic in describing to my readers how this process will be sustained actively by the Pope. Back then, when actually the book came out, initially people were criticizing me because he still hadn't really full on supported this immigration thing, and now it arrived to the point in which the Interior Minister today actually went on the news and said, well, I am sorry to say to the bishops and to the Catholic community that we really can't take any more refugees here in Italy. Otherwise, we really risk a complete collapse. And when he was actually taken on this point again, because the Italian media, of course, are very pro-Vatican, he at one point he said, well, the bishop does his job as a bishop. I am an Interior Minister, and here it's about the safety of Italian citizens. And we can't really guarantee the safety anymore, basically, he said, because of this situation with the refugees. But the Vatican is still supporting the refugees. There have been 2 days ago a clash with the police. The police basically removed at the borders with France the immigrants in Ventimiglia, and a couple of hours later, the local priest had basically disobeyed the law, had refused to obey the law, and had guested a couple of hundred in his own church, refusing to open the church to the Italian authorities. So I know that they want to, this whole thing about wanting to save the poor and all the rest, but this is not really the case. I mean, apart from these very nice, scenic, these scenarios that are played out for the media, in reality, every single refugee costed to the European Parliament, to the European citizens, the European community, 35 euros they give to them. And these 35 euros for each immigrant are usually given to a Catholic organization who takes care of them. That's why they are encouraging the immigrants to come into Europe, because they then make money. One bishop in north of Italy made 6 million euros by just having these immigrants inside his structures. Of course, they give them some crappy food. They usually, the priest use them as slaves for their own labor. There is one priest here in a locality called Subiaco, not far from where I live, which is an important Catholic also center for monasteries. He uses basically 100 of them as slaves to reconstruct this important structure that was abandoned, and now it's been relaunched by the slavery work of these refugees. Another interesting thing happened yesterday when in a typical Italian commune, where they have these kind of historic representations with horses, knights, and all the rest, they actually used the immigrants, the black immigrants, to clean up the horse shit behind the horses during the thing. This kind of made it a little bit, was a little bit considered outrageous, especially because the commune in question was actually a left-wing communist commune. So this means that it's not only a right-wing kind of situation here. So, I mean, there is all these, I went last week to the conference in Florence. This conference was hosted in a historic building of great importance that was then created as a hostel by the Comune a few years ago. And I went there to do the conference, and to my surprise, the conference actually ended up being in a refugee center. And this was quite a little bit outrageous, especially because most of my followers in that occasion and the organizers themselves were close to the Northern League, which is considered a racist party.
Mhm.
And so a lot of fascists came.
Yeah,
to
kind of like the nationalist group, right, Leo?
Yeah. So basically, no, the Northern League, it's a Northern separatist. The Northern League is very much into their own separation from the rest of Italy because it's the richer part of Italy. But then you have also, and that means from Rome upwards. And then you have also, though, people who are right-wing, because here in Italy, the right wing is gaining a lot of strength more and more because of these problems. I mean, it's normal that if you put an influx of desperados, of people who are really poor in already poor areas, you're never going to get it right.
Yeah.
The situation now is that the Pope is simply encouraging criminal acts. I mean, I was really astonished about the situation in Ventimiglia because I just passed there the same day, just a few hours before, because I was in Nice in France. And I went to Nice, where at the moment they are rioting against President Hollande, because President Hollande is passing this Jobs Act, which is basically a slavery act supported by the European community that already passed on in Italy. And liberalizes further the work situation, so it can, of course, make more easy for these crooks to get a cheaper rate from the workers. And this is happening in France, where actually you can't even fill up your car anymore because it's all blocked. But on top of that, I noticed another thing, that France probably is much more dangerous than Italy, and that's why they really want to all go there. And that's why France shut the borders with Italy, because in France you have 10 million Arabs. I mean, they are on the verge of a revolution in France. It's not. We're not talking here about 10,000. We're not talking here about 100,000. In Italy, at the moment, we are getting 1,000 a day.
France has 10 million, you're saying.
10 million Arabs that have been there. A lot of them have been there for 2, 3, 4 generations, and they're the same ones that went into the Bataclan assassination mode when there was the terrible acts of Friday the 13th in Paris, because these people come from, of course, ex-colonies of France. We're talking about Tunisia, Morocco, Algeria. And going around France now, I was really surprised of how many areas are completely controlled by Arabs. There was even I took the tram at one point just because I couldn't get the taxi, and I went in it, and there was like a black lady wearing black gloves covered from head to toe. I mean, she must have been 20, and with the heat, wearing these long gloves, long sleeve, and the whole thing. I mean, it's just like crazy, man. I mean, burqas, things. I mean, it's like being in Saudi Arabia, in France these days. And plus, on top of that, another thing, they think they own the place.
Yeah.
Because we were like going towards my hotel, and suddenly there was a little street. You can only pass with one car. And in the middle of the street, you have a kebab shop. Well, the guy was there, and he didn't want to move. He owned the street, he said.
Yeah, he understands that he has the EU in his back pocket, right, Leo? But listen, we're coming to a break.
I mean, he thought he had the EU in back pocket. Also, we are 4 Italians coming from Calabria and Sicily in the car. And when we got out the car, the guy knew that we were not Frenchmen. So, I mean, I think that's why maybe we are getting saved here in Italy. Because from Rome downwards, the mafia is not letting certain things happen. But still, the mafia is corrupt because it's letting them in and getting money for that.
Leo, we're coming to a hard break. If anybody wants to call up and talk to Mr. Zagami live, call us 504-556-9696. We'll be right back. Battle of New Orleans Radio.
Go get his book, Last Pope.
Enjoy fresh fruit grown in your yard. JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com delivers and installs fruit trees and fruiting vines to your home or condo. Proudly serving Kenner, Metairie, and New Orleans. Apples, apricots, blackberries, citrus, figs, grapes, peaches, pears, persimmons, plums, and raspberries All the trees and fruiting vines are grown right here in South Louisiana. Check out the Fruit Tree Guide for more information and visit JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com today. It's a great time to plant. JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com.
Whether you're in the real estate market to buy, sell, lease, or looking for someone just to manage your properties, look no further than Paula Bourne with Plantation Properties. She has 34 years experience and is an expert of all of the latest programs available to homeowners. She has been my trusted realtor for years now. So please call Paula Bourne with Plantation Properties at 504-858-9293. That's 504-858-9293. Does your house have a clogged up toilet, faulty electrical wires, or AC or heater just isn't blowing properly? Well, call Herman with Superior AC, Electrical, and Plumbing at 985-781-0418. Also specializes in new construction and covers the whole New Orleans metro area. So please, call our friend Herman with Superior AC, Electrical, and Plumbing at 985-781-0418. That's 985-781-0418.
As the corporate media dies, MetroNow.com and TheDailyResistance.com continue to give you a decentralized and independent take on the latest current events as well as historical reference to help you wade through the propaganda of the prostitute media. Our mission is to inform the people of New Orleans about the issues of freedom, health, world events, and much more so that we as a community can thrive in the 21st century. Only with an informed public will we truly be free and independent. So take a look at MetroNow.com or TheDailyResistance.com as your independent news source.
Here on the Battle of New Orleans Radio, we understand some of our listeners may not have teeth. But guess what? For the listeners that do have teeth, you need to go visit our friend, Dr. Sammy Tom with Uptown Dental. He's located at 8131 St. Charles Avenue in New Orleans, Louisiana, and you can visit him on the web at uptowndentalnola.com, or please call him up to set up your appointment at 504-304-6800. That's 504-304-6800. uptowndentalnola.com. Ooh-wee! Hey, David, that smell good. What you eating on?
Man, I'm eating on some shrimp I got from J&N Big Easy Seafood.
Man, I have to get me some of that.
Yeah, bro, they specialize in the delivery, catering of 20 pounds or more boiled or live shrimp, crawfish, catfish, crabs, frog legs, and much more.
And how do I get in touch with J&N's Big Easy Seafood?
Just call them up. Call 985-640-8822. That's 985-640-8822.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. You're listening to Battle of New Orleans Radio right here on 990 AM WGSO, right here in the heart of the Crescent City. You know, we are extremely blessed and grateful to be bringing you, this information and to try to every week, continuously bringing you, hard-hitting guests on this station and in New Orleans. But look, we need some help. We're looking for a new third host, in studio host. So if anybody out there, kind of thinks the same way, has some similar goals, and really just loves the information, man, look, call us up. We would love to bring in studio, and maybe we could do a whole little process to try to bring you on. Well, if anybody wants to talk to our guest, call us up. It's 504-556-9696. All right, we're back on the air with our guest, Mr. Leo Zagami. And look, I have a quick question, and I asked you this off air, Leo. What was your take when you seen the Pope? And it just, every time he speaks, it just, man, it kills me because he just says some of the most outrageous things, that are anti-Christian, anti-European, anti-America. I understand he's a communist from Argentina. He played a part in the dirty wars and all of that. But, I mean, give me a break. What was your take, Leo, when you seen that he said, Jesus is like ISIS? I mean, and that the Europeans need to breed with the immigrants.
Well, I think he's making a big favor to whoever wants to destroy Christianity. And, of course, there is a lot of influence from the Zionist lobby and the B'nai B'rith behind also his work. I have talked about it in volume 2 of my Confessions, where I show actually a picture in my book of Pope Francis surrounded by these rabbis from the B'nai B'rith, which is this Jewish form of Freemasonry. And they are basically working in this end of time scenario. This end of time scenario basically, which means the destruction ultimately of the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the possibility of rebuilding the Temple of Solomon. Now, this is a key aspect of it, the rebuilding of the Temple of Solomon. So also this strange link with Orthodox Jews, which, in front of everybody are really anti-Islam, but behind the closed quarters they have alliances with certain factions of Islam which are actually encouraging this rebuilding of the Temple of Solomon. So Sunni Wahhabi ISIS is simply working for a project that in the end wants to place the Antichrist in the rebuilt Temple of Solomon. Now, I've talked about this in my new book. At the opening of my new book, I have a whole explanation regarding why Freemasonry on one side is involved with this kind of project, but of course not everybody knows that not only there is the allegoric and symbolic meaning of reconstructing the Solomon's temple, but there is also in certain quarters of Freemasonry a link with this secret project for the actual physical rebuilding of the Temple of Solomon. So I have a little bit described to the world what's happening, and it was very surprising though to see now the Dalai Lama taking a stand against this immigration process, because we know that usually, the Dalai Lama seems to be asking for the Pope to receive him and all that, and he's always trying to get in with the New World religion. But for the first time, actually, the Dalai Lama said that Europeans can't take any more immigrants. I mean, the situation is getting out of control. And so even the Dalai Lama, the man of compassion, realizes that the situation is getting out of control. But in regards to the Pope Francis, you have to understand this great alliance between Jesuits and Zionists. This great alliance that started in 1958 when the first Masonic openly encouraging the world religion to come, which was Pope Roncalli, Pope John 23rd, and he basically started this process which continued with the successive Pope, which soon after came in because he didn't last that much. It was Pope Montini, Pope Paul VI, who started this Vatican Council. The process was started by Roncalli, who was this first Masonic Pope, and then continued by another Masonic Pope, which was Pope Montini. And Pope Montini was also of Jewish descent. So you can go and see the burial ground of his family, and you will notice Masonic symbols on his things, but also the mother, who was called Giuditta, which is the name you give it, the usually woman. It's a Jewish name in Italy, Giuditta. It's very Giuditta, yeah, like a little Jew. In any case, I don't have anything against Jews. Here, the problem is that we have to understand there is a difference between the Zionist network and the average Jew who doesn't really know who the whole thing. It's really a few people in the Zionist establishment that rule many. For example, a family like the Rothschild is in bed both with the Vatican and it's leading the Zionist establishment.
Hey, Leo, hold that thought. We're coming to a break, our 8 o'clock break. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to Battle New Orleans Radio. We have our great guest on the line with us, Leo Zagami. Please go get his last book.
And call in, 504-556-9696. Talk to Leo right now. He's in Italy live with us, Battle New Orleans Radio. Coming right back.
The Does your house have a clogged up toilet, faulty electrical wires, or AC or heater just isn't blowing properly? Well, call Herman with Superior AC, Electrical, and Plumbing at 985-781-0418. Also specializes in new construction and covers the whole New Orleans metro area. So please, call our friend Herman with Superior AC, Electrical, and Plumbing at 985-781-0418. That's 985-781-0418.
Grace at the Greenlight gives homeless men and women the options they need to strengthen their independence and make positive changes in their lives. This year alone, Grace has provided over 5,000 meals, thousands of bottles of water, and united 47 homeless individuals with their families. To find out how you can help, call 504-239-4544 or visit graceatthegreenlight.org. Grace would like to thank the following sponsors for their support: McMath Construction, Christ Church Cathedral, Perrier and Lacoste, McGee School, Fallberg Private Wealth, Capital Business Solutions, Oral and Berry LLC, Fat Bankers Social Aid and Pleasure Club, Emery and James Limited, Kushner LaGraze, and First NBC. Join us in helping make a difference in the lives of the local homeless community. Visit graceatthegreenlight.org.
What are you doing to stop traffic? When your business is ready to wow the pants off customers, visit Sir Speedy. We produce quality signs, posters, banners, and more that are just the trick for trade shows, promotions, events, and product launches. Whether you're taking it to the street, the floor, or the counter, bigger is always better. For more information or to get a quote, go to SirSpeedyNewOrleans.com.
WGSO 990 AM, New Orleans, Louisiana. 60 years of speaking easy, New Orleans style.
Deadly shooting incident on the campus of UCLA.
There are 2 victims who are deceased from that shooting.
And since that initial statement from a campus police officer, Los Angeles Police Chief Charlie Beck confirms it was a murder-suicide that killed the 2. Beck saying the campus is safe. No longer is there a threat. That shooting happened just before 10 a.m. in an engineering building on the campus.
If you want 5 minutes of fame and drastic weight loss that you'll never keep off, then join The Biggest Loser.
Claims like that by former contestant of NBC's Biggest Loser, Suzanne Mendonca, who spoke to Entertainment Tonight recently, now leading to a drug investigation on the set of that program. LA County Sheriff's investigators confirming they're looking into possible drug use on the NBC weight loss series. This is USA Radio News.
Hello, I'm Eric, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on progressivism's appeal and danger.
Progressivism has been powerful for 2 kinds of reasons. First of all, its promise is a very high promise. It claims that it can put everything right. And the second thing is, it draws on modern science for a lot of its authority, and modern science is very powerful. Modern science cured polio. Modern science put a man on the moon. The question is, what do you do with the power? If you give absolute power or excessive power to a bunch of people, over time, they're very likely to abuse it. Remember, the richest country in the history of man in peacetime has assembled a debt larger than any in history. And it is getting to the place now where it's not going to be able to afford to go on.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To receive a free pocket Constitution and Declaration, go to constitutionminute.com.
Signals picked up by a French ship are believed to be from black boxes of the Egyptair jetliner that crashed into the Mediterranean nearly 2 weeks ago. Egyptair Flight 804 going down about 180 miles north of the Egyptian city of Alexandria with 66 people on board. That counts the crew. It could be days, though, before they're able to get into the water to try to actually find those black boxes. Lawyers, including some for the Obama administration, have been trying to block questions being directed at a former Hillary Clinton aide in a case involving her email controversy. Chris Farrell of Judicial Watch says Cheryl Mills has not been forthcoming about Clinton's private email server.
This is just an effort to blur and muddy up the story.
Mills testified for hours last week in a case brought by the conservative government watchdog group, and the transcripts show lawyers for her and the Obama White House raised a lot of objections to the questions about what Mills knows about the IT specialist who set up Clinton's private email server when she was Secretary of State. This is USA Radio News.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You've messed up your daughter's haircut. Do you A, get spiritual?
Mom, where's the mirror?
Beauty is within. Oh.
B, find the positives?
Less time blow drying, more time texting?
Or C, show empathy?
Mom, you really don't have to.
Twinsies!
I kinda love it. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on adoption, visit adoptuskids.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Flooding again.
Hey, New Orleans, this is Sue May with the Cannon Hospice Health Hour. Join us to get the latest and most up-to-date health information here on WGSO.
Saturdays at 12 noon.
Join me Fridays at 5 for the Real Estate Rundown with Rachel Wolf. We'll bring in the experts to tell you what you need to know in the ever-changing real estate market. Fridays at 5 on WGSO 990 AM.
This is David Jeremiah inviting you to join me here on Talk Radio 990 every weekday at either 5:30 or 6:30 a.m.
Today's the first official start of the hurricane season 2016. Right now, things fortunately are looking okay in the tropics. To the west, the system's going to start bringing in showers beginning tomorrow. It's about a 40% chance, starting off from mid-70s in the morning into the upper 80s before the rain tomorrow. More clouds, too. Scattered activity becoming more likely. Friday with a chance at 60%, middle 80s. Middle 80s, 70% for round 2. Could be strong storms, too, on Saturday. The June 4th and 5th gun show in Mobile. Buy, sell, trade, rifles, shotguns, knives, edged weapons, modern and antique weapons, gun parts, and military memorabilia. Large aisles, food concession, 24-hour security at the June 4th and 5th gun show in Mobile. At the Abba Shrine Center, 7701 Hit Road, Mobile. Admission $6 for adults, kids $1,400 get in free. Get more info at 615-429-2690. 615-429-2690. Ralph Sanji, WGSO.
All right, Battle in New Orleans Radio. We're back with Caleb Hitt, Nathan Lawrence, and myself, Goyam. We have our special guest, Leo Zagami, live in Italy right now on the phone. Really quick question before we go to the phone calls, because we got a couple calls for you, Mr. Zagami. Personal question. You're seeing the connections between Israel, the Vatican, and even Saudi Arabia. They're pushing for this relocation plan, and yet none of those entities are actually taking any of the refugees in themselves. But do you see this as kind of, you were talking earlier before the break about the Zionism, and we're talking about how the Pope is pushing for the mating of the relocated Muslims with the native Europeans. I've heard the same thing from Gregor Gysi of the EU in Germany. He was basically saying that because the Europeans are so depopulated, they have no choice but to repopulate with incoming refugees. I see it as, the Zionist connection you were bringing up and their control in the central banks, whether it be in the United States and definitely in the EU. The inflation's gotten so high to where you're not really seeing kids, or the birth rate is so low. I'm sure you've seen that in Italy. Again, my father's from Croatia. I go every summer, and I see the same thing there, a depopulation. So my question to you is, do you see this as kind of like a sick and twisted payback to Europe for maybe the things that went on in the eyes of the Zionists, say in Germany, which is now 40% Muslim? Is this like a payback for what the Axis powers tried to do in World War II, or do you think there's any connection with that?
Well, definitely it's very singular the fact that one of the most badly hit countries is Greece, which is predominantly anti-Zionist and traditionally gave also a lot of problems to the Zionist lobby. And so also another interesting point is that the south of Europe is all particularly hit, and we know how the Jews were persecuted in Spain and down there, and how now we see that the south of Europe definitely is becoming a problem. But the other thing is this, that of course Europe doesn't have inhabitants that procreate as much as the Muslims. Let's face it. This means that they need working force. Mm-hmm. So they have to bring it in for their factories, for their things, and all the rest. Of course, the Kalergi plan, this is a plan devised by a guy who was a count in the 20s of last century, so almost 100 years ago. Count Kalergi, who was also famous, an important Freemason, he devised this plan whereby destroying the ethnicity of Europe, you also destroy the culture of Europe, and also you destroy the Christian values on the long run of Europe. So now we definitely want to respect all Muslim citizens, but the Muslim citizens who come into Europe, they don't respect the Christian values as much as they should, because they should also understand that probably one of the reasons why they escape from their countries is that Shiites and Sunnis have been fighting over camels for 200 years, over a rubbish kind of battle on who is better, if it's Ali or if it's Akbar, designed by Muhammad to be the first caliph. This is rubbish. This is complete and utter nonsense. The Abrahamic religions, including, and I'm talking including the Israeli, the Jewish religion, and Christianity, are religions that, of course, are creating a problem. They're not leading to solutions, but they always create problems. So the only religion within the Abrahamic setup that has created a sort of stable world, a civilization which has become a beacon of light for the rest of the world, has been the Christian civilization. So you might not like it, you might dislike it, you might not agree with it, but that's how it is. If now this civilization is, especially in Europe, because America, as we know, is being founded by Father Pilgrims, there is a predominantly conservative view. Sometimes this brings to bigotry, sometimes it also brings to a good position of being conservative, and so to conserve your own origins, your own tradition. Here in Europe, this is not happening. Here, the socialist, communist New World Order wants to destroy the Christian faith. Why? Because behind all of it, of course, there is also the Zionists and the Jewish, which have never accepted Jesus as the Messiah. And of course, they couldn't accept Jesus as the Messiah for a series of reasons. But now, there is, and this is happening every day, I notice this very much in Freemasonic circles where I'm active. I am a Christian Freemason. And so in my lodges, you don't have any others than Christians, and only Christians are allowed. That's how it works in my lodges. Some of people say I'm too conservative. Well, things seem to be working better in countries which have this kind of conservative approach. Watch Scandinavia, the richest countries in Europe. There is the Swedish Rite of Freemasonry, Christian. South of France used to be predominantly Christian Freemasonry, and now is not, and it's starting to have a big problem. And the same thing is that Freemasonry, under the universal approach that is promoted by the New World Order, gradually tends to bring in relativism and Satanism. So I think that here is about really respecting each other. The value of tolerance, which is a great value of Freemasonry, should be encouraged, while instead often there is intolerance, because we simply don't respect each other's cultures. If I go in your house, I have to behave with the rules of your house, because that's your house, you live there. If you come into my house, you live by the rules of my house. Now, this is very important that everybody realizes the respect we each have to have for the different houses that are in this global civilization, in this globalist plan that is coming together with a one-world scheme. This one-world scheme initially, of course, is diabolic, but it's been constructed in this way because the plan behind it, and this, no matter if you're Muslim, Christian, or if you are Jewish, is to bring in a golden age of peace with the Messiah.
And this plan, Leo, is called the Kalergi plan, you said?
The Kalergi plan is the first phase of this plan to destroy the ethnicity. This is actually the globalist and it's the diabolical part of the plan. Because if you decide to destroy the ethnicity of Europeans, you will understand that sooner or later, probably this will bring quite the opposite effect. So I think that it's been brought to bring chaos into the equation. Here, if you, for example, gradually bring a number of foreigners into Europe, you have already Austria closing the borders, other countries that are starting to rebel to the EU diktats. And at the end, this will force probably a civil war in Europe. A civil war in Europe is not a joke. I mean, of course, we will lose if we were to face at the moment the Muslim world. We as Christians are losing.
But Leo, not to cut you off, but from the Zionistic standpoint, like you said, they win either way, right? From their standpoint, they win either way, because if a Muslim gets hurt in the bloodshed of the Civil War, or say a native European, they win either way.
Or a Christian.
They win either way.
The thing is that the Zionists have made an alliance with the Christians.
I see what you're
this
saying.
Alliance is being made with the Vatican.
Vatican in particular.
Vatican controls evangelical and every single church, Baptist, Methodist, and every single Christian church in the world. And now the last one to oppose this situation is the Orthodox faith, which is meeting on the 19th of June in the island of Crete in Greece. Now, I think that the Muslim world should be very careful about the fact that they are starting to get this confrontation with the Orthodox world. Kirill from Moscow will come there. There will be Bartolomeo I. I personally been invited into the island because I'm an Orthodox Knight of Malta, and I preside on the commandery recognized by Bartolomeo, and I'm also in good terms with Kirill. We think that the Christianity values have been betrayed by this Pope. The Orthodox have always been thinking this. The Orthodox were the one who met with the Knights of Malta in Russia to discuss the Muslim problem 130 years ago. So if this problem gets a bit out of control, well, then the Christian values will be brought back by the Orthodox. But in that case, I want to just make a simple, the problem becomes very big for the Muslims. The Muslims now have been facing the Christian world led by the Jesuit Pope. And they think that the Christians are all nice people who bend down and give them nice things, and they're all accepting. The other face of Christianity is Vladimir Putin, who will put a nuclear bomb on your head. So, so this means that you have a quite different kind of vibe. So everything now depends on Donald Trump becoming president in the US, making peace with Vladimir Putin, who is a good friend. Here in Europe, we have to kick out all these communists, socialists, feminists, and all this rubbish, close the borders and say, okay, we had enough. And at this point, we have to respect each other. Otherwise, there is no change. There can't be any global civilization without the respect. And this respect is really not happening. And because people are getting increasingly angry, either is war, and of course, a lot of people want war. The problem is that a lot of warmongers out there, because there is, of course, a very big war industry, and this war industry puts their money in the Vatican bank.
That's right. There's big money. There's big money in it. Look, Leo, hold up. We're coming to a break. Look, Richie and Joe, y'all been holding. Right when we come back, we're going to take y'all's calls, and then we're going to get Leo to go into his book. Ladies and gentlemen, you listen to Battle of New Orleans Radio right here on 990 AM WGSO. We'll be right back.
Ooh-wee. Hey, David, that smell good. What you eating on?
Man, I'm eating on some shrimp I got from J&N Big Easy Seafood.
Man, I have to get me some of that.
Yeah, bro, they specialize in the delivery, catering of 20 pounds or more boiled or live shrimp, crawfish, catfish, crabs, frog legs, and much more.
And how do I get in touch with J&N's Big Easy Seafood?
Just call them up. Call 985-640-8822. That's 985-640-8822.
Whether you're in the real estate market to buy, sell, lease, or looking for someone just to manage your properties, look no further than Paula Bourne with Plantation Properties. She has 34 years experience and is an expert of all of the latest programs available to homeowners. She has been my trusted realtor for years now. So please call Paula Bourne with Plantation Properties at 504-858-9293. That's 504-858-9293. Renovations your way. They renovate to fit your needs with complete customer service from start to finish that goes way beyond the job. With over 20 years experience, and they are fully insured, and they support the Battle of New Orleans Radio to unite the metro area in the fight for liberty.
Visit us on the web at renovationsyourway.com or call me, Daniel, at 985-402-5916. That's 402-5916. RenovationYourWay.com. Mention you heard about us on Battle of New Orleans Radio and receive a 10% discount.
Here on the Battle of New Orleans Radio, we understand some of our listeners may not have teeth. But guess what? For the listeners that do have teeth, you need to go visit our friend, Dr. Sammy Tom with Uptown Dental. He's located at 8131 St. Charles Avenue in New Orleans, Louisiana, and you can visit him on the web at uptowndentalnola.com, or please call him up to set up your appointment at 504-304-6800. That's 504-304-6800. uptowndentalnola.com.
As the corporate media dies, MetroNow.com and TheDailyResistance.com continue to give you a decentralized and independent take on the latest current events as well as historical reference to help you wade through the propaganda of the prostitute media. Our mission is to inform the people of New Orleans about the issues of freedom, health, world events, and much more so that we as a community can thrive in the 21st century. Only with an informed public will we truly be free and independent. So take a look at MetroNow.com or TheDailyResistance.com as your independent news source. Enjoy fresh fruit grown in your yard. JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com delivers and installs fruit trees and fruiting vines to your home or condo. Proudly serving Kenner, Metairie, and New Orleans. Apples, apricots, blackberries, citrus, figs, grapes, peaches, pears, persimmons, plums, and raspberries. All the trees and fruiting vines are grown right here in South Louisiana. Check out the Fruit Tree Guide for more information and visit JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com today. It's a great time to plant. JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. You're listening to Battle of New Orleans Radio, right here on 990 AM WGSO. And let's take these calls real quick. We have our guest, Mr. Leo Zagami, author, researcher, Vatican insider. Look, we got Richie on line one. Richie, we appreciate your patience, man. Go ahead. You're on the phone with Leo Zagami.
Thank you. Hey, Nathan, Goyam, and Caleb. Signore Zagami, buongiorno.
Salve, buongiorno to you.
Come stai? Okay,
very
I'd
good,
like
very
you to
good, very well. I see you know you're Italian, so you must be of Italian descent, maybe.
No, mi cognato italiano.
Okay, I get it. Good.
See, okay, I'd like you to expound on the influence of the Jewish popes that have been established through history, and the influence of the converso Jews that have infiltrated the Catholic Church and its effect on the Church today. Could you elaborate on that?
Well, I think that the story goes back 2,000 years. I mean, who sent on the cross Jesus Christ? He didn't send himself to the cross, and it wasn't really, I mean, there was actually a Roman who said to the Jewish leader, you make the choice, and vice versa. So, I mean, they were already kind of playing it back then, at the time of Jesus himself, of Caiaphas, of what was going on back before his crucifixion. So you think things are actually ever changed? Things have never really changed, because the power of Rome and the Jewish establishment have been together for thousands of years.
Were the Medicis Jewish?
Well, there is, of course, a whole establishment of a banking system in the Medici in Florence that comes, of course, from the Jewish tradition, as we know. We don't know if the Medici himself were Jewish. We can say that most bloodlines, aristocratic bloodlines, seem to come from a common denominator, and which apparently has also a Jewish bloodline within it, because some of the aristocrats in Europe claim they descended from King David himself. And even the Queen of England makes this claim to this day. So within their heraldic lineages. So what I say is that, of course, you have to understand that there is a link that goes back a long way. It's not about only the last two, popes or three popes or four popes. Of course, when after the Second World War, there was a complete change of scenario. Nazism was defeated. There couldn't be any more of those kind of problems. Cardinal Siri, who actually had helped in the rat lines certain SS German Nazis to escape, he himself got actually elected, but also got stopped from being elected by the same people who placed both Pope Roncalli and Montini. So we had the election of an actual pope who even took a name for a brief time, which was Cardinal Siri. And this is a theme and a subject which I touch in volume 3 of my Confessions, which will be coming out next year. But at the same time, I also talk in volume 2 of my Confessions about this very historic link between the Pope and the Jewish world. And that's why the Pope is seen as a sort of high priest, a descendant of Aaron. He has a specific unknown superior status with his Jesuits. We know that Ignatius Loyola was a crypto Jew, was himself coming from the Alumbrados tradition. And so, of course, there is a link also to the Jewish tradition with the Jesuits, the Company of Jesus, that was then kicked out of the Vatican in 1772 and then was reestablished in 1815 and now rules over the Vatican with the first Jesuit Pope. So the Jesuits are very powerful, as well as the Zionist lobby made up of rabbis who have helped, together with the New World Order, craft this new state of Israel. Because with Netanyahu and with the rabbis like Rabbi Glick, for example, just to name you one Orthodox rabbi who is really leading the way for the rebuilding of the Temple of Solomon and who is very close to Netanyahu. Rabbi Glick, for example, last year went to meet with Arunyaya, known also as Adnan Oktar, leader of a Turkish Islamic Sunni sect, which is very powerful and very influential. So how comes these two worlds meet together that officially hate each other, the Orthodox and the Sunni? Because they are all in bed for this great mondialist plan that, as I said earlier in volume 2 of my book, Confessions, is very well defined, which is the reconstruction or the project to reconstruct the Temple of Solomon for this coming Antichrist. Of course, all this will coincide also with the coming of a Messiah, a real man of the people, a real messenger of light, which will not be some kind of new age guru, but will be fighting a war. What people really tend to forget about the second coming of Jesus, or in general tend to forget about a messianic figure, is that they also have military might. Even Muhammad himself was powerful because he had military might. There is no such thing as somebody who has established a religion without a minimum of military might. And of course, this might have happened in the case of Buddhism, but even the Buddha himself, the first Buddha, was himself a prince coming from a military background, because you are part of this situation. And the same when it comes down to the Hindu gods, which are the most powerful, the gods of war and so on. So we are in a moment in civilization where we are about to assist to the crack of this civilization. If Hillary Clinton gets elected, we are in front of a nuclear war to happen. This has to be clear to everybody in America. If Hillary Clinton gets elected, prepare yourself for nuclear war on a massive scale. And it's not a joke.
All right, Richie, thanks for the call.
I'd like to leave with, thank you very much. I want to leave with one scripture, 2 Corinthians 6:14. And this is against the universalist globalism. Be ye not equally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness?
Yeah,
God bless you. Good night.
Thank you for the call, Rich. And check out Revelation 2:9 and Revelation 3:9 on the Synagogue of Satan. We'll be right back. Battle in New Orleans Radio.
Hey, Joe, keep holding on. Be right back.
Joe, you're next.
They leave their own to the poor.
Renovations Your Way. They renovate to fit your needs with complete customer service from start to finish that goes way beyond the job. With over 20 years of experience, and they are fully insured, and they support the Battle of New Orleans Radio to unite the metro area in the fight for liberty.
Visit us on the web at renovationsyourway.com or call me, Daniel, at 985-402-5916. That's 985-402-5916. renovationsyourway.com. Mention you heard about us on Battle of New Orleans Radio and receive a 10% discount.
This is Michael Savage. You know, talk radio has provided a tipping point for the good of this country. The station you're listening to right now ought to be rewarded for playing its part in keeping the elite's feet to the fire. So I'm going to ask you to do something important for yourself. The next time you give your business to anybody, give it to the advertisers that air on my show and others you have grown to love on this station. To find out more on how you can advertise on my show or others on this station,
this is Jeff Cruaire. Send me an email at jeff@wgso.com and let's get together and get your business growing.
Maybe your portfolio should resemble your dinner. Slowly cultivated, locally produced, and most importantly, sustainable. Learn from our insights on investing in the market for longevity as we explore the investment landscape together.
Our goal is to make you smarter with your money. Join us,
Jean-Paul Lagarde,
and David Solomon for the Slow Money Show, Mondays from 5 to 6 p.m. on WGSO AM 990.
Jigger's Bar and Grill at 1645 Vets near Bonneville has plenty of convenient parking and is a great place for lunch. Sandwiches, burgers, wraps, salads, quesadillas, all delicious. There's a big screen TV to watch the sporting events, and happy hour lasts from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Great dinner specials under $11, and if you have late night munchies, Jigger's is a place to go. You can dine in or order at 828-3555. See you soon at Jigger's.
This is the Louisiana Radio Network Legislative Report. I'm Halen Doty. The full Senate has approved the state's $26 billion spending plan for the next fiscal year. It does not fully fund the top scholarship program, and it also cuts state funding for safety net hospitals that provide care for the poor. Governor Edwards will push legislators to restore the cuts in a special session that begins next week. Final passage has been granted to a bill that would allow patients direct access to a physical therapist rather than getting a doctor's referral first. Dr. Amanda Brewer with the Louisiana Physical Therapy Association says this allows patients to be able to get into physical therapy sooner and results in decreased costs for the patients and an increased quality of life.
The type of access that Louisiana will hopefully have once the governor signs the bill is in line with what 43 other states and the rest of the country have.
Opponents of the legislation believe therapists don't have the training of a doctor and could misdiagnose a life-threatening health problem. Despite opposition, the measure heads to the governor's desk. Louisiana Radio Network.
Hurricane season is here, and now is the time to prepare. This is Insurance Commissioner Jim Donlin reminding you that no matter where you live in Louisiana, you face the threat of property damage from severe weather. Protect yourself by checking if you have flood insurance and reviewing your home and business insurance policies. Don't wait until severe weather strikes. Call the Department of Insurance at 1-800-259-5300 or visit our website at ldi.la.gov for more information.
When looking to take your business to the next level, look for a van that gives you more. With Ram ProMaster Cargo Van's impressive 4,420-pound payload, you can handle more. And with Ram ProMaster City's unsurpassed 29 mpg highway, you can get more out of every drop. Also, your business can achieve more. Get a great deal now during Ram commercial van season. When properly equipped, EPA estimated 29 mpg highway. Actual mileage may vary. Ram is a registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school? Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions? No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school? Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul. No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework. Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review? No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized. I think I understand. Oh, good. Finding best potatoes for French fries. No! Russet, fingerling, Yukon Gold. Why don't you understand me? Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org. because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by Understood.org and the Ad Council.
This advertisement does not constitute an offer to sell a franchise. The offer of a franchise can only be made through the delivery of a franchise disclosure document.
Fresh Healthy Vending is a new company that is revolutionizing the vending machine business by filling them with healthy and natural foods. That's right. Protein and energy drinks, teas and juices, yogurts, fresh fruits and veggies, soy milk, natural cereals, granola bars. Can you imagine that? It's like having a whole food store in a machine. And you can get in on the ground floor by getting your own Fresh Healthy Vending franchise. You can have your own small business placing healthy food vending machines all over your area in places like schools and hospitals and businesses and airports and other high traffic areas. Locations that embrace the idea because, you know, they make money too. Full training and support and assistance in acquiring locations. It's all about timing, folks. Pick up the phone, make the call to Fresh Healthy Vending and get all the details on what could be your big life moment. Get Fresh Healthy Vending franchise information now. Call 800-424-8282. 424-8282. That's 800-424-8282.
It's the Battle of New Orleans! Radio, radio! Bringing truth to your eardrums! Here we go, here we go! It's the Battle of New Orleans!
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back listening to Battle of New Orleans Radio. We have Leo Zagami with us on Skype. He's in Rome live with us. Look, we have a quick call. We want to take Joe, line 2. You've been holding a while. We appreciate your patience, Joe. Thank you. You're on the air with Leo Zagami.
Yeah, Leo, good evening to you. I'm calling you in reference to, of course, we are all trying to figure out, how this religion is going to work, between Pope Francis and everything else going on. But my point I'm trying to raise is Jesus Christ stayed in the vicinity of Jerusalem, Babylon, Jordan, and his mother brought him to Egypt when they wanted to crucify him. So I'm trying to figure out, was he dark complected? Did he really have green eyes? And where was he born truly, because his mother had connections or relatives in Egypt, and that's Africa. So I'm trying to figure out what are we all fighting for about this religion right now. I'm going to hang up and talk to you later on. Thanks.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you for the call.
Well, I can't really say what was the color of the skin of Jesus. I wasn't there, so I can nobody can be sure of that. One thing, though, has been pointed out by some researchers in Italy recently, with the discovery that could actually shed some light on the origins of the Jesus figure. The fact that he might have been related to the house of the pharaohs in Egypt and Cleopatra, and at the same time to the imperial bloodline in Rome. So this might have made it more acceptable actually for the Romans on the long run than having actually a Jewish Messiah. This is, of course, is the fruit of discovery that has been done and conducted by researchers who are studying some ancient texts these days here in Italy. But of course, it's very interesting, this possibility, also because we know that the possibility of a bloodline of Jesus has always interested the aristocracy of Europe that claims to have some link with it. One thing, though, is for sure that Jesus wasn't a Christian in the way we perceive it after the Nicaea Council of the Emperor Constantine, because that was a political choice. And the Vatican has hidden also some gospels and some truth surrounding Jesus to adapt it to the Roman way of perceiving things. So we have to always understand when we, of course, criticize the Vatican, that we also rely heavily at times on the Vatican for the birth of Christianity, and so also for our interpretation of the Jesus figure. And so how accurate can that be when we see how much they lie today? How accurate can it be, their description of Jesus, when we see how much how much propaganda and how much censorship they adopt these days for other things? Definitely it's outrageous that the Pope compares Jesus to ISIS followers, and to the spread of Christianity, because this is an insult towards a religion which never gave in to suicide attacks, killing innocent people. Of course, they were a sect. They went underground. They even claimed that they might have participated in setting fire to Rome and then giving the blame on Nero. This could be possible, of course, because when you are actually promoting a sect, at times you can play some political games. In the end, the mother of the Emperor Constantine led this opening towards then the final council and the decision of the Roman Empire to pick up Christianity as the religion of the empire. But this meant also transforming Jesus into a god, because for the Romans, Jesus had to automatically be a god, because in Rome, the minimum you could be, any emperor was a god. So if they had to establish a new religion, of course, the guy who apparently manifested it had to be considered himself also a god. And there is a big problem also on that. But regarding the New World Order wants to destroy Christianity's values. Now, we don't know how the figure of Jesus was or was not, as the listener called in and said, if it was one color or the other. And we don't really care. What we really care, though, is the values that Jesus has transmitted us, meaning to not do to your neighbor what you will not do to yourself, and to adopt a way that has facilitated the growth of our society compared to other societies that instead have not grown in the same way. If, I repeat, the Middle East and that part of the world is having problems, is because, of course, the religion has not been a religion of peace. This is obvious. The corruption, though, and the fact that we have, as Christians, made a deal with the Jewish and Zionist forces for the creation of the State of Israel, it was all programmed so we could find ourselves in the end of times with the ideal scenario. I mean, the ideal prophesied scenario, because without the State of Israel, there will not be the end of time scenario, the end time scenario. So we have had a careful crafting of this end of time scenario. We now find each other in front of it. Sometimes it's even difficult to actually believe it because it's so clear in front of our eyes what is happening.
Leo, to kind of add to it, it seems like the globalists, it seems like they are steering us into an end of times prophecy. They are putting everything in place. Because regardless if you believe in that or don't believe in that, which I do, you know what I'm saying? They are making this happen. They are making the perception become reality.
Yes, this is what I have actually wrote, and I made a whole chapter about what you are just stating now in my book, in Volume 2, The Confessions of An Illuminati, Volume 2, published by CCC Publishing in San Francisco. So I'm glad you actually brought up this subject, because this is one of the main subjects of my new book. The fact that they have voluntarily hashed up this end times scenario, and the way they did it, and also the way they position, for example, the Georgia Guidestones, to actually leave a very strong signal about their own plan of eliminating 3/4 of the world, which is something that is going to happen in the next few years. Because we are too many, because the situation in the world is the situation that we are facing. We have to increasingly pray and hope that we and our families stay safe, because unfortunately in the coming years it's going to be very difficult, this situation. And there is also a strange correlation between all this and the UFO phenomenon, the so-called UFO phenomenon, because this coincides with what are known as the Great Wall that separate us from Gog and Magog, these two demons that have been also talked about not only in the Christian tradition but also in the Muslim one. So we're talking about a gradual breaking of parts of the world, meaning that the entities, the demonic entities, can gradually come more easily into this dimension. So into this dimension, then we have a bunch of New Agers who are all talking about peace and love, and we know how hypocritical most of them are, but also they are destroying Christianity with their kind of very relative, this way of approaching religion, in which is a little bit like a supermarket. I pick up a little bit from this, a little bit from this, a little bit from this. The absolute truth of Jesus is neglected by these people. So Christianity is being definitely corrupted and gradually destroyed, so we can have a soulless world. So we can have a world where a religion becomes no more than a packet of cigarettes. Some people smoke Marlboro, some people smoke other kind of cigarettes. You understand?
Yeah, right.
But it just becomes a consumption thing. It doesn't become just, yeah, it is your belief, but it's not really your way of life. The way of life of Christian will be increasingly difficult to be maintained in this new world order.
Interesting.
Hey, Leo, I've heard you say before, and I think last time we spoke with you, you were talking about the merger of Christendom and Islam, and the Georgia Guidestones talks about one religion, and you see the Pope trying to. It seems like the Pope is like stealthily trying to merge the religion. I mean, I may be off there, but just some of his comments just seem like they're doing everything to try to join the Vatican with these Wahhabis.
Yes, I mean, there is, of course, a situation here in which we have Islamic fundamentalists sometimes disguised by moderate Islam. The Third World War is really close. A key country to really observe all these changes is definitely Turkey in all this. That supports the idea of a Sunni caliphate, supports ISIS. At the same time, it's officially close to the US and NATO. And all this is done to create then a conflict with Shiite Muslims, which are very hated by the Zionists. So between the Sunni and the Shia contenders, there is the third element, Israel, which originally also helped, let's say, to establish the Wahhabi doctrine of Sunni Islam. And so, like you said earlier, probably we have to be careful here, because usually between the two contenders, the third one is the one who gets away with the best deal. But the rebuilding of the temple, it's been arranged both by Christians and Christian forces, corrupt Christian forces, together with corrupt Muslim and also with, of course, the Jews, the Zionists that wanted this rebuilding of the temple. And this rebuilding of the temple might now seems a little bit far-fetched for some people, but you will see in the next few years how increasingly this will be a subject of interest. Now, apart from these contenders in the game, we have also the non-Christian contenders of the game that are playing a very strong role, though. We have China. China, in all this, of course, plays a very powerful role because they have done a very strong alliance with the Jewish Zionist world. Let's remember for a moment that Henry Kissinger is still nowadays one of the most powerful forces that are in this new world order, and they are completely linked to China. A lot of the drug business within China, actually, it's linked to Mossad agents. The Chinese are selling parts of northern China on the borders with the oblast that used to be oblast that was a special state in the Soviet time, lived where the Jewish people were sent to live, and they are constructing their own kind of enclave. And this is made, this enclave, in case Israel gets nuked.
Hey, Leo, really quickly, we're about to go to a hard break. We got one more call and one more segment left, and then we're going to discuss your book. But hang in there right there. Next caller we're going to take, Battle of New Orleans Radio. We'll be right back.
It's gaining pound for pound.
Ooh-wee. Hey, David, that smell good. What you eating on?
Man, I'm eating on some shrimp I got from J&N Big Easy Seafood.
Man, I had to get me some of that.
Yeah, bro, they specialize in the delivery, catering of 20 pounds or more boiled or live shrimp, crawfish, catfish, crabs, frog legs, and much more.
And how do I get in touch with J&N's Big Easy Seafood?
Just call them up. Call 985-640-8822. That's 985-640-8822.
Here on the Battle of New Orleans Radio, we understand some of our listeners may not have teeth. But guess what? For the listeners that do have teeth, you need to go visit our friend, Dr. Sammy Tom with Uptown Dental. He's located at 8131 St. Charles Avenue in New Orleans, Louisiana, and you can visit him on the web at uptowndentalnola.com, or please call him up to set up your appointment at 504-304-6800. That's 504-304-6800. uptowndentalnola.com.
As the corporate media dies, MetroNow.com and TheDailyResistance.com continue to give you a decentralized and independent take on the latest current events as well as historical reference to help you wade through the propaganda of the prostitute media. Our mission is to inform the people of New Orleans about the issues of freedom, health, world events, and much more so that we as a community can thrive in the 21st century. Only with an informed public will we truly be free and independent. So take a look at MetroNow.com or TheDailyResistance.com as your independent news source.
Renovations your way. They renovate to fit your needs with complete customer service from start to finish that goes way beyond the job. With over 20 years experience, and they are fully insured, and they support the Battle of New Orleans Radio to unite the metro area in the fight for liberty.
Visit us on the web at renovationsyourway.com or call me, Daniel, at 985-402-5916. That's 985-402-5916. renovationsyourway.com. Mention you heard about us on Battle of New Orleans Radio and receive a 10% discount.
Whether you're in the real estate market to buy, sell, lease, or looking for someone just to manage your properties, look no further than Paula Bourne with Plantation Properties. She has 34 years experience and is an expert of all of the latest programs available to homeowners. She has been my trusted realtor for years now. So please call Paula Bourne with Plantation Properties at 504-858-9293. That's 504-858-9293.
Enjoy fresh fruit grown in your yard. JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com delivers and installs fruit trees and fruiting vines to your home or condo. Proudly serving Kenner, Metairie, and New Orleans. Apples, apricots, blackberries, citrus, figs, grapes, peaches, pears, persimmons, plums, and raspberries. All the trees and fruiting vines are grown right here in South Louisiana. Check out the Fruit Tree Guide for more information and visit JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com today. It's a great time to plant. JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com.
Sitting by my side, sitting way up high in a four-wheel drive, cruising down the road doing 95.
All right, Battle of New Orleans Radio. We only have about 5-6 minutes left, so go ahead, Phil. You're on the line with Leo Zagami. Go ahead.
Hey, God bless America. Listen up, brothers and sisters. I don't know about you, but I'm going to be out there Sunday night at 8 p.m., and I'm going to be one of those that's standing in that gap, watching that wall. I'm going to rescue this independent helpers. I'm going to be out there with the mind of Jesus Christ and form the Lord, and I'm going to help clean off the Robert Lee statue with these gentlemen. I'm going to be there live, and I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to protect the babies. I'm going to protect the statues, and I'll be there with you cleaning off those statues. And I don't care what they try to do to me because I love my country, and I love you very much. So wake up!
Thank you, Phil, and Mr. Zagami. Sorry about that. Earlier in the show, we were discussing some monuments. But for our listeners who didn't hear earlier, June 12th, 8 p.m., myself and Nathan are going to be at the monument, at the base of the Lee Monument, helping to clean up the graffiti that occurred there recently. So anybody else who wants to show up, Phil, we appreciate that. I think we have another caller for Mr. Zagami. Go ahead, line 2.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Joseph.
I wanted to know if your guest, Italian gentleman, knows of an investigative researcher, an American, by the name of Robert Fletcher. He appeared on a radio talk show host, he appeared on a radio talk show, nationally known talk show, on April 7th, 2015. And That's the old George Norrie Coast to Coast AM radio show. Has he ever met him? Talked to Robert Fletcher? Because Robert Fletcher believes, like me, that there's a certain celestial cosmic type of sign that came back into our solar system that really is a signal that we are indeed in that period of time called the 7 years of tribulation.
All right, well, thank you for that. Robert Fletcher, Mr. Zagami, are you familiar with him?
Not familiar with Robert Fletcher, but it coincides with my research. In fact, in volume 2, I talk about the 7 years of tribulation leading to 2020, which started already after 2012 and are manifesting now, and that will give birth in 2020 to one of the biggest crises that ever faced mankind. So I have written this book, Volume 2, to warn people about what's really happening and to also interpret it in a way that is clear for them behind the scenes who are the actual players and who is pulling the strings. So I invite people to go and read this book of Volume 2. And at the same time, I also like to say that the Vatican is the main enemy for 2,000 years, as much as the people who have manipulated the Jewish faith in Jerusalem for even longer than that. We know that Jesus had some problems with them, so we can't really blame one side or the other. Some people tend to blame only the Zionist Jewish side and forget the Jesuits and the Vatican. That is really where the divided impera kind of rule it's applied, because they don't know the story that really unifies these two traditions. So in volume 2, I really dedicated whole chapters into explaining how these two things are linked, how the Vatican is totally linked and the whole change that went on in the Vatican. Of course, if you were to talk about the Vatican of 100 years ago, it would be a very different kind of thing, because we had some very conservative forces still in place that were opposing the complete Zionist takeover. And we have also at the same time now, we have also, apart from the fact that the Zionist concept itself is quite recent in Jewish history, and now in Israel we have also a very big problem, because there is a sort of coup d'etat happening, meaning that the right-wing forces in Israel with Benjamin Netanyahu are definitely going even more right-wing, becoming even more fascist. And the general called Yair Golan, who is one of the heads of the army, has declared that he starts to resemble in Israel some analogy with German Nazis.
Mr. Zagami, really quick, we're coming to the end of the show. Nathan, go ahead, take it.
Yeah, Leo, we really appreciate you coming on with us. Please tell everybody where they can get all your books and your information, and I can't wait to read your new book. Please tell everybody how to get this.
Okay, if you want to get Confessions of an Illuminati Volume 2, you can go on Amazon and order it there, or you can go on our website, CCC Publishing, based in San Francisco. The book is called The Confessions of an Illuminati Volume 2, The Time of Revelation and Tribulation Leading Up to 2020. And I hope that people will appreciate this inside view on the problem. And a lot of the questions that the listeners have asked me today, they will be answered in this book. And not only that, I also bring some evidence of the links with the Illuminati, the real Illuminati, headed by Giuliano Di Bernardo, Freemasonry, and the Jewish establishment and the Zionists. So I think that you should definitely have a look at this book.
We really appreciate it. Thanks for your time, Mrs. Zagami. We're definitely going to have you back on when your book comes out, and hopefully before then. God bless. We appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.
Look, ladies and gentlemen, join me and Goyam and Phil the Patriot and Richie and others June 12th, 8 p.m. at the Robert E. Lee statue.
We're cleaning
please.
the statue up. It's been graffitied. And listen, next week we're going to try to get Dr. David Duke on with our African-American anti-New World Order rapper Payday Monsanto together in studio taking your calls. So we're working on that. So listen in. Check our website, Battle of New Orleans Radio. Thanks again, Leo Zagami. And come on out June 12th, Battle of New Orleans. We're going to take this into our own hands. 9:90 a.m.
Renovations your way. They renovate to fit your needs with complete customer service from start to finish that goes way beyond the job. With over 20 years experience, and they are fully insured, and they support the Battle of New Orleans Radio to unite the metro area in the fight for liberty.
Visit us on the web at renovationsyourway.com.